She blocked my driveway again. Third time this week. And you know what? It's never by accident. The first time, maybe you wonder if somebody's just bad at parking, or running late, or had a brain fart. But after 3 times, Nay hits a message. She knew I was late. She knew I'd see her, strutting past my door like the sidewalk had her name on it. So I tried. Real calm. Excuse me. You're blocking my driveway. I need to leave. She didn't even slow down. Just tossed out. Community compliance check. You'll have to wait. Something under her breath about people like me not following rules. People like me. Huh? I asked, still keeping it level. But she just smiled a real special kind of smile. The kind that says she enjoys having the upper hand. Especially over someone she thinks won't push back. That's when it hit me. She wasn't enforcing anything. She was trying to dominate. And she figured I'd take it. She figured wrong. Here's the part you don't know yet. I've spent most of my life in law enforcement. These days, I'm the county sheriff. I get how power works. But the funny thing is, the more authority you have at work, the less you want it hanging around your front porch. I don't wear the uniform home. I don't tell my neighbors who I am. Not because I'm hiding, but because real peace means boundaries. When folks know too much, they start watching you instead of minding their own. And after a day full of real problems, the last thing I want is drama over parking spots. I picked this HOA neighborhood for a reason. Modest place. Nothing flashy. Promised peace and quiet. Just routine. Nothing more. My life outside the badge is meant to be simple. I follow the rules. I don't escalate. Most people think authority is about making noise and being seen. I learned the opposite. The best kind is invisible. You only bring it out if you absolutely have to. There's another part of my story, something you won't find in campaign flyers. My marriage ended a few years back. Quiet. Nothing messy. Just 2 folks who couldn't put it back together. My son lives with his mom most days. Comes to me on weekends. That time with him. That's my anchor. So I keep my routines tight. I leave early. Get back on time. Never make him wonder if I'll show up. My driveway me schedule light all matters. Blocking it isn't just annoying. It messes with the rhythm that keeps our world together. First couple times it happened, I let it go. Told myself, hey, stuff happens. Maybe she's new. Maybe it's just a weird week. You learn quick in law enforcement, ego makes things worse. Calm fixes them. So I stayed calm. But every time I walked back inside, late again, something in me shifted. Not anger, responsibility. If you let little things pile up, they turn into big things. Kids notice when plans change. When adults get tense. My son never complained. But he started asking, why are we late? Why can't we go? Why does that lady keep parking there? I gave him neutral answers. Didn't want him shouldering grown-up conflict. But I swore he wouldn't feel that kind of uncertainty if I could help it. So I kept my promise. Keep his world calm. Even if I had to swallow my own frustration. Fix things quietly. Do it right. Not loud. That driveway wasn't just concrete, it was reliability. And when someone messes with that, even by accident, it gets personal. The first time, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she was running late. Maybe she didn't realize. But her car was parked with intent, close enough to block me. Not close enough to look clumsy. Intent always shows in the margins. When I called out, she didn't hurry. She looked at me and said, oh, it's temporary. Community compliance walk. I told her, I need to leave. Didn't say why, didn't think I owed her that. She glanced at my car, then gripped her clipboard like it was a scepter. We've had issues with unauthorized parking. She said, this neighborhood has standards. She meant, I have standards, and you'd better learn them. I stayed polite. Didn't challenge her authority. Didn't explain myself. I've learned correcting people in public just makes them dig in deeper. She studied me, then smiled. I'll move it when I'm finished on this block. It shouldn't take long. How long? She shrugged. However long it needs to. There it was. The imbalance. She could wait, I couldn't. And she liked it that way. From her point of view, I was just another neighbor she could manage. She thought I'd fold, and I died in the outside. But what she didn't see was, I was already keeping track. Dates. Times. What she said. How long I was blocked. Not on paper, just in my head. It's a habit. Comes with the job. A couple days later, there she was again. Same spot. Same routine. I called out. She waved. Didn't even turn around. 5 minutes. She shouted. 5 turned into 15. Into 30. By the end of the week. It happened again. Every time. A different excuse. Waiting for another resident. Safety concern. Need to document your vehicle. Each explanation just reasonable enough if you weren't the one stuck inside. But her attitude that never changed. No apology. No rush. Just more confident every time. She'd glance back at my house before parking. She'd slow down when she knew I was waiting. She'd speak loud enough for the neighbors to hear. Always about community standards. What really got me wasn't the inconvenient seat, was the pattern. I missed meetings. I rearranged my day. I adapted. Because that's what reasonable people do when someone else is being unreasonable. Still, I didn't file a complaint. Didn't take photos. Didn't call anyone. I believed restraint would end it faster than confrontation. Once paperwork gets involved, people double down. So I kept waiting. She started making comments about how I'm out early a lot, or how it's unusual for someone to come and go so much. Always with a smile. She wasn't looking for answers, she was building a story. By the 3rd week, this wasn't inconvenience, Anna Maria, it was disruption. And the neighbors started to notice. Not directly, but through glances. Conversations that paused when I walked by. She was talking, and it wasn't neutral. That's when it stopped being about my schedule now, it was about perception. I still didn't act. I thought patience was the smart move. But patience has a cost. And every morning, the cost went up. Finally, I sat down with the actual HOA bylaws. Not the summary. The real thing. Turns out, volunteers don't have the right to block driveways. No power to detain vehicles. No right to delay access. She had no enforcement authority. Just the illusion of it. She was borrowing power and hoping nobody checked. Armed with facts. I tried one more Timino escalation. Just clarity. I asked her where she got her authority. She didn't answer. Instead, she pulled out her phone and started recording. Announcing, "This individual is questioning legitimate community safety procedures." The shift was instant, no more discussion. Just performance. I stayed put. I'm asking for the legal basis for blocking my driveway. That's all. Now she's telling the camera I'm intimidating her. That I'm aggressive. That she's concerned. Said she'd be reporting me for harassment. The person blocking my driveway is reporting me. That's when I saw what she was really doing. Not enforcing, but documenting, creating a record. She wanted a narrative, not a resolution. From then on, the blocking stopped. But now she hovered. Took notes. Made comments within earshot. Talked to neighbors. My vehicle became the unfamiliar car. My routine became suspicious. The neighborhood atmosphere changed. Conversations stopped when I walked out. Doors closed faster. People crossed the street. I heard it in fragments. Unfamiliar cars. Irregular hours. Safety concerns. My son noticed too. He asked why other kids didn't come over. Why it felt weird. I told him sometimes people listen to the wrong voices. But I could feel the isolation too. Then the calls started and emergency reports about my address. Always concerned. Never accusing. Always with words like pattern and ongoing behavior. By the 3rd call, they wanted documentation. I had no clue any of this was happening. Just living my routine. But the system listens to repetition. 1 call can be dismissed. 2. Coincidence. 3. Now you've got a trend. Reports started stacking up, never accusing, but painting a picture of suspicion. Each new report hardened the story. This could have destroyed everything. Not legally, reputationally. The system doesn't know context. It knows input. You get enough smoke. People start asking about fire. My name would end up in a system not built to assume innocence. That's when I realized restraint had stopped being neutral. By staying quiet, I was letting someone else define reality. But I needed the full picture before I moved. Once you act officially, you can't take it back. When a colleague said, "Hey, those calls are starting to draw attention," that's when it hit home. Attention means eyes. Eyes mean interpretation. And they don't wait for context. She wasn't trying to inconvenience me anymore. She was trying to validate herself through the system. If the system took her seriously, she won. If it didn't, she'd escalate until it did. I'd seen careers stall over less. The next morning, she parked the same way, blocking, but just within the lines. This time, I changed the script. I put on my uniform. I walked out, badge catching the morning light. You could see the realization hit her, first confusion, then that slow collapse as her assumptions crumbled. She tried to talk, said she didn't realize, said it was just temporary, said she was helping. I didn't interrupt. I didn't correct. I told her, flat and simple, that she was blocking access. It was documented, and she needed to move her car immediately. She glanced around for support. Nobody stepped up. The neighbors watched, silent now, understanding what was really happening. She asked if it was really necessary. I said yes. The confidence vanished. She tried to explain herself. Rapid fire. Like speed would rebuild control. It didn't. She moved her car. A tow truck showed up soon after. Quiet. Official. Routine. She tried to plead. Asked if we could just forget it. But this wasn't about punishment. It was about correction. I explained, calmly, that repeated false reporting is misuse of resources. That blocking access isn't enforcement. And that actions have records. She stood there as the truck drove away, the weight of consequence settling in. The HOA sent out a notice. No names. No drama. Just a reminder. Volunteers can report concerns, but they cannot detain, obstruct, or document residents. The behavior stopped. The neighborhood exhaled. The street returned to normal. She never spoke to me again. The apologies from neighbors trickled in. Quiet. Honest. We should have asked you directly. I let it go. What mattered was that things adjusted when the truth came out. The biggest shift was at home. My son relaxed again. Neighbors waved. Kids came over. Routines snapped back into place. The driveway stayed clear. That may sound small, but to me, it meant everything. Looking back, the lesson is clear. Real authority doesn't need to be loud. It waits, documents, and acts once cleanly when it's time. People mistake patience for weakness, but patience, paired with facts, becomes leverage. Power isn't about being seen. It's about knowing you don't have to be unless it matters. If you've ever tangled with an HOA, or someone playing authority they don't have, I want to hear your story. What did you do? Did patience pay off or make it worse? Drop your story in the comments. Someone else out there probably needs to know they're not alone. She thought authority came from blocking my driveway. Turns out, it came from knowing when to use the badge.
How can you just stand there? I told you, I'll move it right now. You don't have the right to tow this vehicle.
Please forgive me. Authority.
I'm sorry, but the decision has been made.